Father Show, and it is such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you. I hope you had a great weekend, and it's fun to have you here, and tell somebody else about the Father Show, and I guarantee you today's show is going to be a fantastic one. But we're right here on Christ the King Radio at ctkradio.org, and thank you for joining us today. But our show is sponsored in part by Winston Hills Ribs and Stuff at 5090 East Arapahoe Road in Centennial, Colorado. And if you want some barbecue, that's a great place to go. And we're also in part sponsored by Modern Gladiator, which is an online magazine. And you can just type in themoderngladiator.com and find them. And they have a quarterly magazine that features men's issues. And even though it is based around men and gladiator back in the day, it's not just for men, it's actually for the women now as well, the gladiatorittes.
We'll go on both of them because I want to get that chair out of there.
Magazine, fantastic organization, and I'm glad
that's why Galileo
would be,
co-sponsors.
So go ahead, just a little bit.
Today, we have
just a little bit.
A little more?
The more I learn about him, the more I learn that he's just like me and doing what I'm doing. And, our background is a little different, but what we're doing today is the same. He's a speaker, he's an author. We were both a part of the same Toastmasters Club, and I know you're jumping in and out and, all that. So it's great to have Mr. Jonathan McMillan here today, and we're going to learn a lot about him and what he's doing today and all the stuff that he's doing in the community, the things that he's doing to help kids and to keep them from following your own footsteps, and also just helping out the community and the things that you do and what you speak about and so forth. And hopefully we can get a lot of this here. You've been here before with the Mentor of the Year for 2015. And so we've seen you on the show, but we're going to get to talk to you. So we run out of time half the time. I get frustrated. So I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to start letting you do the talking because I want to find out more about you, and I want the audience to know more about you. So, and you have, I know, like I said, you have another book coming out, and we're going to talk about that as well. So, what got you started on this journey that you're on right now?
Well, first off, Mike, let me say thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this.
No, it's my pleasure.
That introduction was wonderful. I have been very appreciative and grateful that I got an opportunity to join Toastmasters. Met a lot of good people, and you're one of the people at the top of that list. So I appreciate this opportunity.
And I didn't pay him to say that.
So didn't. As you mentioned, a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is essentially to help teach kids and young black males particularly how not to follow my footsteps.
So let's back up a little bit. Let's tell them what your footsteps were and what got you up to this point.
Well, I'm a 42-year-old black man, almost 43 next month.
Still
and thankfully, but at one point in the late 80s, early 90s, when America was going through its gang epidemic, I was right there. I was at the front door of that, and a lot of that came from the narrative that was around America, and it was mostly coming from our parents, our teachers, our pastors, and our mentors that young black men were an endangered species. Young black men are endangered species. Young black man is more likely to go to prison, go to college. Young black man is more likely to die before the age of 25 than any other group in the world. Because of slavery and what was done to us as a race, we were more likely to be not single fathers, but absentee fathers. Make babies but not be around to raise them, either because of irresponsibility or being in prison or being in the graveyard. And that narrative was told to us to try to motivate us to do better, but still, what it ended up doing was feeling the hopefulness. And that hopelessness led to what I call recklessness. And that recklessness fulfilled the
I'm trying to get under the screen.
Dying at an early age. And I did just that. I did just that. I ended up going to prison at 25. And it was there that I realized that.
Okay, sorry.
I'm in the wrong place.
Way down
I
on
made
it.
too many bad decisions. I looked down and I saw
Yeah.
that,
Sorry.
here in Denver, Colorado, especially, we're not LA, we're not Detroit, we're not Chicago, yet we're being locked up on the same rate of incarceration as those larger cities with big socioeconomic problems. So I understood that there was a bigger scheme to locking us up. And I went back to that whole hopelessness leads to hopelessness. So I need to figure out how do we generate hope in my generation.
A little bit more.
And I agree with you, and I also look at it as, excuse me, we always, this thing that blacks feel like we, the white person owes them something, is irritating to me. And I'm sure, and with my generation, that was a big thing,
See, we also have this audio too.
believe that, and
Because we're recording at the same damn time.
it's not just our
So if this one sounds like shit, that one won't sound like shit. So we need to stack them.
the school system that, they
I haven't tried to do it yet.
But it can be done.
I know it can be done.
I
I
know.
don't know. Well, the 29. I'm recording here at 29.95.
Hertz.
Do you
Yeah,
think that's
frames
what?
Oh, per seconds, okay.
And then over here,
The only thing you have sure
Not as much
is that
in my generation
the audio,
as I see in this generation that's in the media now.
when we're doing the video,
There's this
the
idea
audio needs to be
that
at 4,800
life is
hertz.
supposed to be
So you can put it in there.
that's where we are.
Okay.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you need to, so because you can't
As a
use
matter
it in
of fact, I'm writing
Premiere
an article about
unless it's at
it now.
48 and above. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
But my
44.1.
daddy told me,
Is it 44.1 and
44.1 and
above?
above.
Okay, yeah, but I do 48.
I'm gonna work-
That's like
I'm gonna
one,
have
because it's
to
an
work
option in
twice
there.
as hard
I
to
don't do
be
the bottom,
seen
I do
as
the
an
one next one
equal.
of it. You know what I'm
4
saying?
times
But yeah, it has to
as
be
hard to even
X
be
amount of
considered
Depending on
as
what
an
kind of
equal.
hardware and software you're using.
using
By
Premiere.
what?
Oh, you need Premiere?
You need
There was no
48 for the audio.
Yeah,
To put audio
yeah,
in.
you want to use
So
48.
Yeah,
what?
and even what was it?
And although I made some mistakes, that mentality right there made me a better person. I have a
Cool
problem
edit too.
now with,
Cool edit. You got to be at 4,800.
as you stated, this mentality that life is supposed to be fair for our young black men. Yes, it's supposed to be fair, but it's not. So let's deal with it.
Yeah, in theory, it's supposed to be fair.
Let's deal.
But in reality, we know that's not the case.
Exactly. As I said, the deck is
These
stacked
don't
against
record
us.
bad at all.
The dice are loaded. The
Mm-mm.
referees.
Like I said, once we
the
get
judges
a
and
consistent,
whatnot,
like, okay, you see how like this is a little grainy and this is less grainy? Once we find that balance between all three of the
They're
cameras,
complicit.
if we have
in the
equal
cheating.
graininess, it's fine. But for this to be in HD, for this to be grainy, and this one to be semi-HD, semi-grainy,
Because
that's
it's
ugly.
stupid.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's
It is, it is.
because when you change back and forth, your eye has to adjust to that shit. So where let's try to get a consistent eye adjustment basically. So your eye doesn't have to go, oh that looks like shit, or oh that's HD. You know what I'm saying? It should just all be one consistent thing. Like it looks like shit all the way through,
Right.
or it's HD all the way through. You know
I'm
what I'm
gonna
saying?
act up.
Now,
But we're
in-
practicing
in,
right now, so
in Cool Edit Pro and in
That's what they expect.
Premiere?
Premiere,
That's
I
what.
think there
that's
is
how they
a
look at it.
plugin
So,
that helps you
I'm
to
doing what they-
correct that
Right.
in post-production.
Yeah, but no. I mean, there's a way. No, I mean like there's a way you can alter the film. I'm not disagreeing with that. But the quality of shooting, that's done at the camera. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The quality's done at the camera.
Is usually a myth of what the young black man is still the perceptions of reality. You know, whatever somebody believes is the case, and it doesn't matter how many facts we have to the otherwise. And so I say, let's be better.
Well,
than
maybe
that.
moving the lights.
Let's be better than what they think you're
No.
capable of. Let's be
What would
better than
actually
what
probably
they
help.
expect of you. And I have developed a curriculum which raises that standard. It sets the bar high.
Mhm.
But not only does it set the bar high, it is
You gotta do it from
a
over here.
comprehensive roadmap of
I mean, but you gotta do it from
how
over
to
here.
achieve that bar and
2 minutes or 1 minute?
2 minutes.
I I'm a huge believer in goal setting. Um, I'm a huge believer in goal setting, and I've learned, and I'll probably get back to this, but when I was in prison, understanding that hopelessness is what led me to here, and not saying I'm not going to achieve anything anyway. I'm going to end up in prison. I might be dead. Why setting goals? Yeah. Well, then I found out is if you set goals, then you find out why you don't go to prison. You find out how to be that ball player, how to be that rapper, how to be the doctor, how to be the lawyer.
And you're right. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get back into this because it is important, and our young men of color need to understand this and need to hear this. So if you are a listener, if you are listening to the Father Show, right here on Christ the King Radio. Now, if you are a man or looking for resources that can help you, go to the Father Show resource program at www.thefathershow, R as in resources, P as in program.org. Click on your state and find resources that can help you in whatever situation that you may need. Maybe it's a program like Jonathan is putting on. Maybe it's resources that you need for understand your child support or pay your child support and get help with it. But welcome back, everybody, and you are listening to The Father Show, and I'm your host, Mike Thompson, and our guest today is Jonathan McMillan, and we are talking about the program that he is running. We'll be talking about the book that he's writing, but at first we got into the journey. How did you get to this part? How did you come to this point where you're doing all the things that you're doing to help our young black males?
So to wrap it up concisely, a few things happened. I mean, a lot of things happened that put me on this path and get me from where I was to where I am now. But to put it really concisely, back in 1994, I was working for Reverend Kelly. And I was still a gang member myself. I was on probation, only working for him because it was court ordered, to be honest with you. It was community service.
If it worked.
But I got the itch where I said, well, I'm going to go out and help some gang members. You know, and so I went to this middle school and I presented. I said, I'm an ex-gang member and I'm here to save your kids. And you know, we had a little group that got and most of them were wannabe kids who, they weren't really gang members, but there was one kid who, 13 years old, he was hardcore. His brothers and his uncles were Crips, and they had raised him to be a Crip. And he came to me, he said, man, I don't want to do this. What do I do? And I looked at him and blinked real hard. And I didn't have an answer for him. And so I listened to him, and I just tried to tell him to stay out of trouble and give him the best advice that I knew at the time. And I didn't know nothing. I didn't know the back of my hand well, He ended up getting killed.
Oh.
He ended up getting killed probably 2 months into our relationship.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I failed him. And it hit me hard, and long story short, I backed off of everything I was doing, and eventually, a few years later, I ended up in prison. And like I said, it was there that I had that epiphany of, I need to figure out what it is that we need. And I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And in that book, it talked about having a definiteness of purpose, AKA a goal.
Yep.
And then I read a book by Tony Robbins, The Awaken the Giant Within.
Yeah.
Also talked about setting a goal. And then I read Les Brown, I can't think of the name of the book, but the message was still the same, the importance of having a goal. And so for the next 15, 16 years, I studied and I studied and I studied Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Dennis Kimbrough, Think and Grow Rich, a Black Perspective. And 3-4 years ago, when Trayvon Martin happened, I said, I saw it coming. I started hearing the conversation again that we were an endangered species. Young black men have no value, they have no worth. And I knew hearing that poisonous message, you were going to see Mike Brown. You were going to see Tamir Rice.
Yeah.
You're going to see this recklessness come out. And I said, I need to get the information that saved me out into people's hands.
Yeah, because there's been many of them, and for years. People sometimes act like this is something new,
Right.
and this is old as old can possibly be. I mean, it's been going on since slavery. So
Really.
this is nothing new, and people have. I mean, why we think Martin Luther King was marching? It wasn't
Right.
just for civil rights. And civil rights also included being treated fairly.
Right.
And that has been going on for years, and it is sad to see. And I was talking to a friend of mine in the media. Like, I don't know if the media is trying to start a race war or what's going on, because this is nothing new, but they're focused
At a very skewed rate of how it happens. And the new thing is the social media. That's what really bothers me, when you have irresponsible people posting the shootings, posting the outrageous. I mean, not to say that it doesn't need a focus on it as if this is it's not everything. That focus on it like there are racist police trolling the street, just shooting us
nothing
down.
but racist police. Yeah.
It robs the hope out of the young black men.
And
It becomes very dangerous.
Yeah. And I think part of it is good that we have video phones, and it's good that we have the social media, because in some aspects it works good and bad.
Right.
Because if some of those films weren't available, some of this stuff would not be coming out to light.
Where my problem comes, and I'll gloss over this very quickly, is when we have a situation like that crazy man in Colorado Springs who shot up the Planned Parenthood. And people post things on social media, and they took him into custody unarmed, as if those two situations weren't totally unrelated. We have one situation where the police did their job accurately. They did it as every situation should be handled. We should be praising that. Yes, we should be critical of the situation where a young black man was killed because he was unarmed, but do not equate the two as if this is how it always happens. It sets a bad precedent.
Yeah, it makes the police department as a whole look bad when it's not the whole. And it's like anything else in society is, when you look at black men, you look at Hispanic men, you look at white men, you can never say all.
Right.
Okay? All the police department, we can't say all
black men.
We can't say that.
All women, all
women,
Jews,
no.
all anything,
No.
because the thing is, they're all individual people.
And there's good and bad in every single race.
Let me add this really quick. The dangerous precedent that happens when you start looking at the cops as a whole as being bad, they begin to fight back. And guess who gets the brunt of that pushback? Not the activist on Facebook, not the person on Twitter who's minding his business, walking down the street, and that cop feels like he's been picked on one too many times, and he's gonna take Jamal in the back of the alley.
And it's one thing that I look at when I look at police officers, and I say this sometimes to kids and the people I know. We have to understand, remember that they are human, and we don't know what happened between a cop and wife and a husband. We don't know what happened at the last call that police officer was on. And yes, you are a professional, and you're supposed to know how to go from one situation to the next and drop it, but sometimes it's hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah, I've been doing sales for a long time, and I know if I have a bad sale and I walk into the office and they tick me off, I know I got to go to the next office and still put a smile on my face and act like nothing had happened before. And a police officer has to do the same thing. But it's not always possible.
is like a quarterback. You know, when he throws an interception and they run it back for 6, and then he got to take the very next snap.
The field, he's coming right back on the field.
You got to have a very short memory.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that one of the things I'm very pleased to be a part of right now is I'm working with the My Brother's Keeper initiative here in Denver.
Okay.
And part of that, I am co-chairing the Juvenile Justice Committee. One of the initiatives we're doing out of that committee is working with the Office of Independent Monitor, who they basically, I don't say oversee the police, but they're basically a citizen. If someone complains about the police, they investigate
into it.
They're doing a project called Bridging the Gap, where they're taking 6 to 7 police officers from the Denver Police Department, and they're going to audiences of young people. And we're having an all-day forum. It's usually 6-7 hours. They have lunch. We do some role playing where the kids get to essentially walk in the officer's shoes, and the officers get to walk in the kids' shoes. We do some training, some emotional intelligence training for the officers. Both groups do implicit bias training, understanding why they think, what they think about when they see a black face or when they see a female face or they see whatever, a cop, what those thoughts are that may have no substance at all. It's just a gut reaction to seeing that. Understanding how that plays in the confrontations that or well, I won't say confrontations, but anytime that there is a police stop.
Yeah.
Where those having that emotional intelligence, knowing what your biases are, can maybe de-escalate a situation where there may not even be an arrest, let alone a violent tragedy.
We have to remember too that it's about our reaction. And as you know from your studies, it's not about how the situation is, how you react to the situation. That can deactivate or make it go smaller or make it go
de-escalate
bigger.
or escalate it. Yeah,
that's where I was looking for. De-escalate it or make it go larger and make it worse than what it really is. It's just your attitude, and sometimes you have to think about that. So we got to take a quick break again so that we can, let our sponsors and Jonathan take a breath. And since he gets to do all the talking, I love it. But you are listening to The Father Show on Christ the King Radio at ctkradio.org. And if you're an organization or a company that provides programs or classes or anything to help men, go to The Father Show resource program at www.thefathershow, or as you're listening to The Father Show and watch The Father Show. Get used to the cameras being in the room, but you are tuned in to The Father Show, and our guest today is Jonathan McMillan. And right before we took the last break, we were talking about the difficulty and the wrong view on how we handling a situation when we're pulled over with the cops. And I know we kind of divvy away from what we were really kind of focusing on, but it is important, and it is an issue that's going on today. But I know I have some cop friends, and I have been having cop friends for years. I almost became a cop, Denver cop at that. And I know I'm sympathetic to them in some aspects, and to all police officers, black, white, purple, pink, doesn't really matter to me. I know that there can be times where somebody can push your button. And that might just because what we were talking about before, that last call that they went on, they might have just came from a murder, might have came from an abusive relationship they had to break up, and they're emotional. And then you come up and you start mouthing off at them. And I know when I was growing up, it was one of the things that our parents taught us. And I think that's where we're disconnected right now with our teens, is that when I was driving, when I first started driving, it's like, okay, you have respect. You put both hands on the wheel. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. I'm reaching over for my driver's license. I'm reaching over to the glove compartment box to get my card and all those things that we learned to do because of some headstrong cops. And it wasn't all of them by any means. I've had some, I got pulled a few times by white and black cops, and they're like, all right, just be careful and go ahead and go about your business. But I think a lot of it is my respect for them and their respect for me.
Yeah, and yes, again, this is a conversation that I have a lot with a lot of people, because going back to what we said, there's people who, and I understand the thinking that life should be fair. And it's 2015. It's not 1965 anymore.
Right.
I get that. However, the reality of the situation is, these steps that you listed out, when the cop pulls you over, you keep your hands on the wheel. You say yes sir, no sir. You announce your movements. You make very deliberate, slow movements, because they kept you alive. Because at the end of the day, and I hate that phrase, but at the end of the day, you want to make it home.
Right.
It's not
at the end of the day, they want to make it home.
They want to make it home. So it's not about deferring any respect to this officer, even when it's undue. When he's being the jerk and calling you all kinds of things other than your name, you want to make it home. That is it. And that ultimately is my mission. Is I call myself not just a speaker and an author, but a personal development success skills trainer. Success carries a multitude of things.
Yeah,
I'm not an expert in everything.
So let's touch on that a little bit, because I know we could go on and on. Excuse me, about the police shooting and the issues that our young black kids are going through. But what are some of the subjects that you speak about?
So I have what I call the be better than average curriculum, or philosophy even. And it's built on three things. The first is, when we talked about Napoleon Hill, him having a definiteness of purpose. I just call it a goal, a better than average goal. And as we mentioned earlier, I've written a very comprehensive book about it. But in addition to having that goal, is the empowered mindset is the complete opposite of what we've been talking about, of the victim mentality, or life should be fair. And until it is fair, I'm not going to show up. The empowered mindset says, I'm grateful for everything I have, even if it's not much, but I'm also grateful for every opportunity, every possibility, every person, and every challenge that I come across, because all of that gives me an opportunity to be more valuable. And then lastly, I teach the importance of having what Napoleon Hill called a mastermind. I call it your flock. And the flock is the people who you have around you, who inspire you, encourage you, motivate you, advise you, and hold you accountable to doing the things that you need to do in order to be successful. That's it. So it's those three things: having a goal, having an empowered mindset, and having a flock that is going to ensure your success.
Yeah. And I know with your goals, you know, and I've read some of your stuff, that is shooting high enough. Because some people are going to have a goal, and once they reach that goal, because it's too low, they don't know where to go.
It becomes very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
And I always say, people, okay, let me go here. So you've heard of the SMART goals model. Okay, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. People get caught up on the attainable part, because they say attainable means I should set a small goal. Like, I'm going to go to school every day this year, or I will get a job. Okay, that's not hard to do. That's not hard to do. What you need, what I suggest, is setting the goal of, I'm going to get promoted within the next 12 months. Okay, there's no promotion guarantee, but you set that as your goal, and then you set forth a plan. Understand what the obstacles are between setting that goal and getting promoted.
Right.
Understand what the skills and habits that you need to develop in order to overcome those obstacles, and then look for the people who can help you develop those skills and habits and overcome those obstacles. That any goal that you set, if you apply that to it, it becomes attainable. So I'm going to continue with that example. So you want to get promoted within the next year, but you don't like to go to work on time.
Yeah, and it's not about, and it's not about I want to get promoted, but what are you going to do to get promoted?
Exactly. So first
What are
off,
the
you need to work
steps?
on your time management. Make sure that your butt's at work every day on
Yeah.
time. You need to make sure. So a lot of people, when I say they go to work, they're only thinking 4-hour increments. You get to work, you think about when your next break is. You go back to work from your break, you think about when your lunch is. What I'm going to have for lunch. You come back from lunch, you think about that next break, and then you think about the drive home and what you're going to watch on TV that night. You need to change that thinking. You need to think about, what do I need to do this month in order for my boss to say, dang, John is really working really hard. Michael, he's shown enough initiative. I wonder what I can do to help him. And that back door is what I said, when you find the people who can help you, you go to your boss and say, boss, look, this is my 12-month plan. What do I need to do in order to make sure this happens? I guarantee you he's not going to say you fired. He's going to say, okay, let's take a look at this. He's really serious. What can I do to help this person be successful? You think of the CEO of any company, whatever job you have, he didn't just go to work thinking in 4-hour increments. He was thinking about building his empire from the day that he decided he was going to start that company.
Well, yeah, and people got to understand that it's not a 8 to 5
It's not.
situation. It's, if you are trying to get somewhere, you have to think more and work harder than the average person. You have to, and that might mean coming in early. It might mean staying after
It might mean
work.
20-hour days.
Right.
Like you and I work. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm right now, I'm working on 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm working on 4 hours. Because, like you said, I was editing video last night. I was editing my manuscript for my next book. I had 1,000 other things to do. Plus, I put in 8 hours at RTD.
And you got a family.
And I have a family. And, people say, well, are you sacrificing your job because you're working somewhere, or your dream because you're working somewhere else? I said no, because one of my obstacles to get from where I wanted to be was a lack of funding. And so, you know what I did? I went and got me a job. I went and got me a good job. In order to get a good job, I became a good employee. And I was a good interviewer. So, I mean, there is a whole trail of breadcrumbs that lead down this journey that I'm on. I didn't just show up and say, hey, RTD, give me a job. I want to put together this book and be my own. No, there's been a whole, to get to where I've been right now, it really has been a 15-year journey and a very intense 3-year journey.
Yeah.
So
what are some of the skills you're working on now?
So with the book being published,
And wait a minute, what's the book about?
the book is called Better Than Average Goals.
Okay.
Jonathan McMillan's Guide to Setting and Achieving Goals Jonathan McMillan's Guide to Setting Goals that Change and Save Lives.
Okay.
It's just very comprehensive. There's a lot of stuff that we just talked about. I gave you the meat and potatoes right there. And there are exercises throughout the book to help you understand the concepts that I'm talking about. I'm working on an app now. So when you ask me what skill I'm working to develop is the app. Because I don't know about that. I know how to look at my phone and press a button and go to the Google Play Store. That's it. I'm learning how to be a better.
Today we have Jonathan McMillan, and Jonathan is just a fantastic young man that is, and it's really kind of weird because the more I've gotten to talk with him, the more I've gotten to know him, the more I see that we're on the same path and doing a lot of the same things. He has a school program, I got a school program. He's a speaker, I'm a speaker. He's got a show, I got a show. We're doing a lot of the same things, and it's nice to, I'm gonna say this without, just coming off the top of my head. It's nice that two black men can sit here and we ain't competing.
Yes.
We're talking, we're helping one another, and we're not competing. You call me when you need something, I call you when I need something, and we talk. And I know we've got a couple of another friend, mutual friend, Ian Humphrey, who's another speaker as well. And
Dudley Thurman.
Yep. And it is fantastic to be able to have that support among other speakers and black men, because we don't tend to help one another.
Right.
We think we're going to steal something from somebody, or you're going to get there before I do, and so I'm not going to let you get there before I do.
Right.
I don't care. If you get there before I do, so what? Okay.
Well, again, that goes into one of the concepts I talk about is building your flock. Building your, they say birds of a feather flock together, and I think it was Jim Rohn who said, you are the sum of the five closest people around
Right.
you.
Him and Les Brown.
Oh, well,
and,
yes, yeah.
And they both say that if you're the smartest person in your group,
you're in the wrong room.
Yes, indeed.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because, as you said, it's not technically a show that I'm doing. It's just I have taken upon myself to start to interview people who I have witnessed and observed practicing the principles I talk about naturally. You, of course, being one of those, Ian, one of those, Dudley, one of those. And we got to talking and said maybe in 2016, we got to do a black male summit. We got to do it where we all hit the stage and hit them with our best stuff so that we can make it's not about showcasing ourselves. It's about putting that information
and
out
touching the right people.
Touching the right people,
And
because the city's hurting right now. There have been more murders this year, gang-related murders or otherwise, than I've seen in a long time. When I say a long time, like 20 years. And it's time for, and honestly, when you ask me what got me on this journey, it's because I told you I started off with the gangs here in Denver.
Right.
Okay. And being a 42-year-old man, that was not the leadership and legacy that I wanted to leave behind. And so, considering myself an OG, I don't throw that title out there, but I have to leave some leadership principles behind for those who are following after me. I left a lot of destruction in my path, so now it's time to lay out some cobblestones for people to be able to walk a better road.
Good.
And I think that's what's going to happen out of the summit. There, I got the wheels burning.
I like that idea. And the women do it. They have summits, and and I have been involved with one male summit. It's been a good 5 years ago, I think, and met some great men there. But I agree with you. We need to do something like this. So we'll talk about it. We'll discuss that one. But
in the meantime, what I'm doing going on is I'm doing some workshops. So in 2016, I'm planning a few different workshops. I haven't got dates lined up and cemented yet.
Okay.
I'm actually looking to expand my reach in doing monthly webinars where people could go to my website, sign up for, I'm thinking free. I haven't built out the business model yet, but they can learn some of the concepts I'm talking about right now and apply them to their life immediately. The Better Than Average Goals book, the Better Than Average Goals, will be accompanied with the Better Than Average affirmations. One of the things I've been doing for about 3 months now is posting an affirmation every day on Facebook and my social media that says, I am better than average because. Again, that helps build that mindset. It tells me I can't do anything. I want to do this, but I'm trying to do this. But one of the wisest things a person ever told me was that I was born with the right and the power to change my condition to my preferred condition.
And here's, I think the problem with that is the repetition. And repetition is something that people need to do for the positive affirmation, but we do it so much on the negative.
On the negative, and we do it without even thinking about it.
And that's why it's so hard for people to do the positive. And you have to repeat that on a regular basis to get that negativity out of your head. You have to put the positive in there. And that is something that is hard for people to understand. Okay, you're 25 years old. You've been talking negative and hearing negative for 25 years. It's not going to go away in overnight. It took you 25 years to get here. It might take you 25 years to go away. But I know in standard it's like 5 years, 6 years with positive affirmation. And so people need to hear. And that's good that you're saying it. So how can they go to your side to that so they can get it on a daily basis?
Okay, so I have a couple outlets, but Facebook, particularly just facebook.com/be better than average. It's a Facebook group. is free to join. All you have to do is request. I do a peripheral review of your site and make sure you're not just trying to sell me some sunglasses and sell my people some sunglasses. And if, short of you're free to join in, it's a resource. It's a place for affirmations, articles. I regularly post jobs there, interview skills. Something I'm working on for 2015. Tips how to have better than average finances, and I'm actually partnering with some really powerful financiers, educators. Their business is to teach people how to have better finances.
Right.
That's it. Of course, JonathanMcMillan.com. You could. I'm blogging regularly. I've been writing I was born writing. One thing I do better than talking is as I write. So
I wish I could say that. And you have a YouTube page as well.
I do. Now that's where it gets tricky because in this space of learning how to brand myself, I think I got like 3 different YouTube pages. And I don't know how to get. I know where go my YouTube pages, but usually I just share the videos for either from my Facebook or from my website. So if you want to find me on my Facebook or on YouTube, just go to my website, go to Facebook, you'll find the videos.
Okay, and they can get a hold of you how?
The best way to do it is JonathanMcMillan.com.
Okay,
that's JonathanMcMillan.com. You can also reach me at JonathanM@BEBTA.org. That's like B, better than average. If you feel like it and you're feeling generous, go to Amazon.com. The book is Better Than Average Goals. And I'm on Facebook, and it's just my name, Jonathan McMillan.
How much is the book?
Book is, right now I'm running it for $9.98. That will probably go until January 11th.
Okay.
January 11th. And then the price is going up because I'm going to roll it into a workshop.
Okay.
So, which is actually not a bad deal. With the workshop, you're going to get one-on-one coaching with me. You're going to get extensive slides, a whole presentation along with the book, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to get the app that goes with it.
Okay.
So, but I would recommend if you want the book, $9.98 right now. I did that under $10.
Good.
So.
Good, and that's saying something because usually everybody's like $19.98 or something.
Mike, I thought about doing that, and honestly, I was advised to do triple that because the book is that powerful. There's so much information in there. There's quite literally, there is 17 years worth of research in that book about goal setting, written in a way that elementary school kids could read it, and see a 50-year-old, 60-year-old CEOs could read it. But I did it intentionally that way so you could buy it for Christmas for yourself and for people who you want to see succeed. No excuses. Under $10. It's a handbook to help them change or save their lives. I did it at this time of the year because New Year's starting. People are going to be setting New Year's resolutions. And New Year's resolutions, I will say it right now, are the worst thing you can do for your future. Because you start thinking about them at 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve, and then you don't think about them after 12:02 New Year's Day.
Yeah.
You need to set yourself a comprehensive, better than average goal, and I will teach you how to do it.
Excellent. Well, man, I'm going to tell you, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I hope this is not the last time. Matter of fact, I know
it won't be.
Yeah.
It won't
We'll have you back on again. And